But the bigger question is how. I think in theory, we're all supportive of bearing with one another and creating community, but it's actually really hard to do. And so Paul gives us some how. Wisdom. The first way that we can bear with one another is to practice forgiveness. And I say practice forgiveness because it's something we never get exactly right. It's something we have to do over and over and over again throughout our lives. It doesn't get easier. But yet, when we're able to work through conflict with people, when we're able to give and receive forgiveness, we can create stronger bonds and stronger connections to one another. Even in the healthiest of communities, people will see things differently. People will have conflict with one another. And yet it's how we engage one another and work through conflict and seek forgiveness that really helps create our strength. Another how that Paul gives us is that Paul invites us to love one another in a way that leads to harmony. Not unity or melody, like just having one thought, one idea, one way of doing things, but harmony, where we don't all have to do and say the same things, but yet all the things that we are doing and saying can complement one another, like when you're creating harmony in music. Another thing that we can do to create this ability to bear with one another is to be thankful. In every situation, find something to be thankful for. And in every interaction with other people, find a reason to be thankful for that person. And then the fourth thing that Paul helps us with in how to bear with one another is he invites us to sing. Yes, sing as a group, sing together, lift our voices in praise to God. Singing doesn't solve our problems or make them go away, but what Paul knows is that singing is good for our soul, both individually and collectively. Singing can help with that how of bearing with one another. So we are in our sermon series called One Another, and I think it is so fitting that we are invited to bear with one another on this week that we are beginning our indoor, in-person worship services. We have an opportunity now to come together and relearn how to be community. We have an opportunity to get involved in the messiness of putting up with each other's differences, of learning how to welcome each other again. And I don't have any wish dreams of thinking that it's all going to go perfectly all the time. But yet I think the messiness is worth it as we learn how to worship together again. It's going to be amazing to welcome people who have never been here before and to show them how we can care for one another. It's going to be amazing to see kids coming into this space, seeing kids learning how to worship by worshiping. And I'm sure it will be disruptive at times, but we can encourage one another as we worship together. There may be people who come to worship who have been part of this community for years and years, and what if they don't get to sit in the same place they used to always sit? They have an opportunity to learn how to be welcoming and to be welcomed by others at the same time. We have an opportunity to bear with one another in beautiful ways. But it does take work, and sometimes it's just easier to stay separate from one another. But I would encourage you, if you are able, to come and worship in the community, to see what it's like to bear with one another, to see what it's like when we have to pause, when there's rough parts of the worship service that don't get edited out, that we share in those moments together. This is a powerful time for us as Christians to learn how to one another each other into a new way of living. And my ultimate hope is when we learn how to bear with one another, when we learn how to love one another in this place, that it actually rubs off on us, so that we take what we do together in worship and it impacts how we treat our family members. It impacts how we treat people we work with, people we see in stores while we're running errands, people that we don't always know how to even deal with. My hope is that we learn how to do this together, and that when we keep coming back over and over again, worshiping together, that we're creating this opportunity to keep welcoming more and more people together.